I'm a vert. Just gonna be quickly yapping on my way to get a Nintendo Switch 2, and yeah, I feel pretty self-conscious when I like holding a phone to my face and recording just out in public on a walk. Hell, I'm kind of self-conscious when I record at home when I'm the only one there. But yeah, currently it's around like 7:30 my time a.m. and the GameStop that I'm going to opens at 9. And I'm wondering how this is going to work because the mall that the GameStop's in opens at like 10. So I'm just curious how this is all going to work out, because it's like if your store is opening up earlier than the mall, right? I'm guessing there's going to be like a line outside or something, but this is the first time I've like ever been to like a day one launch of a console. Also, this is the first time I'm personally buying a console. I've never done that before. I was gonna buy the Switch, but I didn't. And then 2 years later, my parents' friend won it, so I didn't have to pay for that. So, but yeah, basically what's gonna happen is I have a pre-order placed for the Switch 2. However, that's the Mario Kart World bundle, and the bundle doesn't come with the physical copy of the game. So I'm gonna see if I can get a Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart World physical and then cancel the pre-order when I'm there. And I'm kind of even if I am allowed to do that, that's kind of still like, imagine you go to the front desk, you're like, hey, can I get a Nintendo Switch 2 in Mario Kart World? Okay, and then you pay up and whatever, and then they're like, and you say, oh yeah, and also by the way, I would like to cancel a pre-order. Oh, what's the pre-order? A Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart World. It kind of is just, but yeah. Okay, so I made it to the mall. It's almost 8 o'clock. I'll see you inside. Got the Switch 2. This box is tiny. It doesn't come through on the video, but it's absolutely fitting in my backpack. But this feels surreal. So I've officially made it back, and my grandma is currently asleep in the other room. So this is gonna be the quietest, shittiest unboxing you've ever seen in your life. It's gonna be like ASMR unboxing. I'm gonna have to like whisper everything. I don't even know if the phone will pick this up, but if it does, we can do ASMR unboxing. Okay, so I remember I was really worried that this would not be able to fit in a backpack, and my worries were entirely proven to be unfounded the second I brought this thing out of the store. Literally, this thing is so small. Okay, so one hand's holding the phone, other hand is gonna do the zipper. You get a nice zipper sound. Listen to that. This is the quality content you subscribed for. Oh yeah, listen to that zipper sound. Come on, zipper's open. Okay, there we go. So basically, you got this. Okay. Oh my god, one-handed Jesus, dude. This is nerve-wracking. Okay, the first thing you got is we have this thing. I was here for the Nintendo Switch 2 system launch. Dogs are barking outside right now. You get the ASMR dog bark. Here's like a postcard or something. I don't know. This artwork's great. 2025, it's like holographic a little bit. That's cool. Alright, here's the real meat and potatoes though. Mario Kart World. I decided to spend a little extra money to get the physical copy, so I actually own this game. What I want to see though is, apparently I've seen on like Twitter, apparently the inside artwork has like this red overlay on top of it, and I'm really hoping it
though I'm also really nervous. There are a lot of aspects of this game that have me scared, especially at the price point. Jesus, that's not even including tax. So let's just put that over there. It's the same size as a Switch 1 box though, which I actually kind of like. I knew, I heard about that, but when I got the box I was like, oh yeah, this is still really small. Alright, here's the main course. The main course right here. Hold on. And then, okay, come on, one hand, come on, left hand, let's do this. Alright, grab this thing. Come on, get out of the bag. Alright, we got this little bag. Doesn't even have the freaking GameStop logo on it. Chuck it over there. Alright, here's the size of my hand compared to the box. Like, when you see it, right? Seeing it like this doesn't really, like, do it justice. Like, it doesn't put into perspective just how small this thing is here. Here's Mario Kart World's box. So the box is the same size as like the original Nintendo Switch boxes. So there's a really good like frame of reference for you in case you're wondering how small it is. So if you're concerned about not being able to fit into a bag, don't be. You could probably fit this thing into a fanny pack, bro. Anyway, I can't unbox with one hand. This presents an issue. Okay, so I'm gonna set up the camera right here. I'm gonna cross my fingers. This is a good viewing angle. Oh my god. This is the box. So here's the back of the box, the side, the front, and the other side. Alright. Here's the little bit of damage that the box came like this. They gave it to me like this. Why? Like, I should have right there asked them, you go back and you get me a better box. But I didn't really feel like doing that. I was nervous as shit. Alright. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, here's the box. No tape. I think the Switch 1 box didn't have any tape either. Oh my god. Alright, let's open up this, like, this absolutely smushed to smithereens part of the box. Alright, wow. Oh. Here's what this is, like the setup and whatever. Alright, oh my god. Oh, that's the screen. I thought that was the dock. No, that's the screen. I don't know if any of this is showing up on camera. What the frick? Bro, this thing is ginormous. Look at this. Okay, no, we're doing another comparison. I don't know. Okay. I know I'm gonna have to reset up the camera, but here's Mario Kart World, right? The box. Here's the Switch. Just another frame of reference to anyone who doesn't have a Switch to grab like a Switch 1 box. And that is about the size of this screen. This thing is ginormous. I don't think we have to worry about this thing bending. It's not that heavy, to be honest. There's that infamous connector on the side that everyone thinks is just gonna like come right off, like just instantly just shoot off. I don't think that's gonna be a point of failure, guys. And then next you got, oh my god, the Joy-Cons. Oh no. I don't wanna actually hold them in my hands just yet, so I'm just gonna grab them like this. Alright, I accidentally clicked the start button and it feels way better than the original ones. So anyway, let's just take, oh, that's a whole cardboard thing. Alright, here's the infamous Nintendo Today app. Health and safety information. Incredible. I'm leaking. If only, it'd be really funny if leakers, when they got the Nintendo Switch too early, they only showed off the health and safety information. No, you have to get the Nintendo Today app to see that, alright? Nintendo are like taking down videos on Twitter from Nintendo Today, which is really stupid. Here's like ultra fast HDMI cable, another thing I finally get to witness in person. Look at this. My video doesn't do the magnificence of this thing justice. Throw that over there. And then we Wappa, 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 wappa. I'm an adult, by the way. But yeah, here's the strap. I think it just like snaps right on. Yeah, like there's the magnet there. There's like padding or something, and you just like right on there. So that's the left one, and this is the right one. Little tangent about like the colors on my Nintendo Switch. The blue Joy-Con is on the right and the red one's on the left, and now it's the opposite, so I'm gonna have to get used to that. Tangent over the cardboard. Nintendo today didn't show off this. This is exclusive look on the cardboard. Alright. They did not show off any of this. I'm like, you get a first-hand look on this ASMR unboxing. There you go. Alright. Oh, they also didn't show off any of this packaging. I'm guessing this is like the, oh yeah, this is the grip. It's in here. So here's another thing I don't want to hold just yet. Hold on. Get out. It's hard to get it out of here without like holding it. Get out of the thing. There we go. Oh shoot. I dropped it. Whoops. Throw that over there. Nintendo Switch 2. So you just like, I don't want to hold it. You just smack it in here. This plastic feels really high quality, by the way. Like fucking top notch, top of the line, best plastic you can buy. Alright. Throw that over there. And what else is there? Oh yeah. AC adapter. Nintendo finally learned how to make an AC adapter that's not just a ginormous brick. You can actually like plug USB-C into this, and then there you go, bam, you can take it off. So you don't have to get like another USB-C cable to plug it into like another USB. Instead of plugging into an outlet, you can just use that. What is this? Oh yeah, it's the other part of the thing. Alright, next we got more cardboard that they didn't show off. Exclusive look. Oh my god, this is the dock. Get out of here. Get out of here, dock. Alright, so the dock was one of like the main points of contention with the Nintendo Switch 1, right? Like genuinely, the dock on the Switch 1 was made so cheap. You can tell they were just like, get this thing out. Speaking of get this thing out, get out of here. Go, shoot, get out of the thing. Get out of the thing. I'm not gonna put my phone down. Stop asking me to put my phone down. Okay, fine, I'll put my phone down. Begrudgingly, I did that just for you. Nintendo Switch 2. Damn, bro, look at this. Way higher build quality on this thing. Actually has like cooling on the bottom and the back. USB stuff. I think Nintendo already posted an ASMR unboxing of like the dock itself. So they've kind of beat me to that. Also, I don't even know how to open this thing. Open, there we go. Again, high quality plastic. How about the padding? Okay, there's like different, like instead of felt padding, it's like a rubbery padding. Maybe that'll help it a bit more so you don't scratch your Switch. The adapters in the back. Yeah, that's about what you would expect from the dock. Just higher quality, much higher quality. Holy dude, that is a way better dock. Alright, now it's time to get my hands on this shit. I have no idea how good of a camera angle this is. I am literally leaning my phone against a pillow, and I'm not using the front camera, I'm using the back camera, because it's better quality. So, alright, I guess the first thing is the Joy-Cons. I'm gonna kneel down here. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Get nice and intimate here. Make sure I'm recording really quick. Okay, I am recording. Left already looks like it has a bit of dirt on it. What the fuck? Okay, no, that's just on the bag. Left, oh my god. Okay. using it, like literally just now. You know what it feels like? Like when you do it in a circle like that, it feels a bit like slower. I kind of did like how the Switch 1 Joy-Con analog sticks, they barely went anywhere, although these aren't like much different. Like, but really though, all that matters is that we better not have Joy-Con drift. Okay, is the L and R buttons better? Oh, they're so much better. L and R buttons on the Switch 1 literally felt like they were gonna like come off every time you pushed it. Oh, those are so much better. Still digital triggers. Alright. Oh, every button just feels so much better to push. Capture button. Wow. C button. The game chat button. It feels about the same as the capture button. Home button feels the same. How about clicking the sticks in? Clicking the stick, everything just feels higher quality. Clicking it while moving it forward feels better too. Everything, literally everything just feels better. How about the start and minus? Even the start and minus feels so much better. Everything is just wow. Like my preferred method of playing is already with the Joy-Cons, so now that they're better, it's just like that's an improvement. Holy, oh my god! I need to make sure I'm still recording. Hold on. Okay, I deleted a bunch of stuff to make storage space, but I still want to make sure I'm getting my live reaction to touching the Switch 2. Oh, that's stressful. That's stressful. Okay. Oh my god, that is huge. Oh, is this upside down? It is upside down. That's still huge though. Oh my god, this connector piece. There's like a little bit of give to it, which is good. You don't want it to be like really stiff because then it will snap off. You want it to have a little bit of wiggle room. I don't know if you can see any of this. I'll look back at this footage when editing and be like, holy, that was terrible. Alright. Wow. Volume buttons. Feel alright. The game cartridge slot. Oh, that's weird. Instead of opening from up here like before, it opens from down here now. Not sure if I'm a big fan of that change. I am a big fan of this new slider though. Oh wow. That's way better. Plus, like, there's a little pocket. So, like, right here, there's a little pocket so that the cartridge will slide into it. Overall, just really good. Oh my god. About to snap it in. Okay, I have to put this back. Oh. Is this? Oh yeah, this is the kickstand. Hold on, I should probably do that. Kickstand. Oh, that felt like that was just gonna snap right off. Alright, so something cool about this, the kickstand, it being like this, means that you can actually like hang it up, right? Which is neat. That's cool that you can do that. So if like you're maybe in a car or something, you can hang it up so it's like up here, which is cool. Overall, I think this kickstand is just an improvement. Look at it, it works on the bed. I could not do this on the Switch 1. You could not. Hold on. Oh yeah. Oh, I can play like this. No matter how you want the screen to face you, it's there. Wow, this thing's enormous. I can't stress enough how big this thing is. I need to make sure I'm recording again. I'm gonna keep doing that. Alright, you ready? Here you go. Hold on. Oh wow, that actually kind of pinched me a little bit. I was not expecting it to be that strong. Okay, let's try it again. Just fucking. Oh yeah. Oh my god, look how freaking big this thing is. Again, size comparison. Size comparison. I have my Switch 1 here. I could do that. I'll do size comparisons later. Oh my god, this feels so much better. Wow. Wow, this is what the Switch 1 should have felt like. Oh my god, look at this. Look. That thing is in there. Wow. I could probably pull it off. I don't want to try it. with enough strength is good. If you drop your Switch, I remember my Switch 1, I broke a Joy-Con because I dropped it. It landed on a metal bar like this, and the Joy-Con just snapped. If that were to happen again, I think it would literally it would knock it loose, which is way better. Like, you know, I feel like I could throw this thing off of the 8th floor where I am, and it would still survive. Whereas with the Switch 1, like, even dropping that thing, I think would be a catastrophic disaster. Wow, words cannot describe. I'm getting fingerprints on it. There's like dirt on the screen for some reason, like already out of the box. What the frick? The people who packaged it, they're just like, yeah, let's just get some dandruff in there. It feels so good to hold. That is so comfortable. Way more comfortable than the Switch 1. It's like Nintendo realized no one's putting the Switch in their pocket. They're carrying it in a backpack or a bag or a purse. So you might as well just make it better and make it comfortable. Wow, it is huge. What? It's huge. Wow. Oh, okay, so then you pull this out. I thought it would like come off really smoothly, but no, it's like there's actually a click to it. So I see a lot of people, they were wondering like, if the system dies, will the Joy-Cons detach because everything is magnetic? People thought it was an electromagnet. It's not. When you push this side button, it simply makes this blue part come out like that. So you can, like, it just pushes it out. So you put it in. Oh, that's satisfying. And then you just, and it like actually sounds like a nice sound too. Listen. Oh my god, I'm getting pinched by it. Holy, thing's pinching me. I feel like that's a bigger issue than the connector. I think little kids are definitely gonna get like their fingers caught in there, and that actually kind of hurts. Especially since I'm not used to that. Wow. It feels so comfortable. The plastic's higher quality. Everything just feels so good. It feels so good, but I'm gonna take these off. Joy-Con grip by itself. But when you put these on, which again, okay, so you like rest it on there and then put it in. That's cool. Ooh. It does feel better than the Switch 1 handle, but not by much. I feel like they probably could have made it more comfortable, but this works. When you need to play with the thing, like, or whatever, like this, it functions. Like, yeah, I could use this. I'm gonna be playing like this. That feels so good. Oh my god, dude. Like, when the Switch first came out, I was able to hold it. They felt comfortable, but my hands have gotten bigger. So, wow. Everything. Oh yeah, sideways. I still don't like how far in you have to reach to get that, but like, this is still way more comfortable than the Switch 1 was. Again, these buttons feel so good. They feel so good. Wow. Okay. Oh yeah. Final test. Dog test. So, you have your Switch 2. You're just gonna, kind of hard. It's gonna get used to that. Alright, and then, that does feel a lot better. It feels a lot safer. I don't think I'm gonna have to. Oh yeah, there's like rubber padding on the back, but on the front though, there's none. Oh, there's like a little piece of felt there. I swear this thing better not scratch screens, although this material in here doesn't feel like it would scratch the screen. It feels like a similar material to the screen, actually. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna start setting this thing up. Just realizing I never unboxed the straps. So I might as well show you this. Just take these off. Can I take it off? Oh yeah. Alright. So this strap, I don't know which way it goes. Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about putting it in the wrong way and having everything like lock on and break. Anyway, does it go on like this? Does it? Like I would assume so, right? Hello? Does it not? Does it go on like this? Is that how that looks right? Hello? How do you go on? Hello? One-handed. Oh my god, this is the worst unboxing anyone's ever made. How do you put this on? Get on there. Why are the straps always such an issue? Okay, to be fair, I'm doing this with one hand. If I had two hands, I'd be better off. Okay, screw it. Alright, I'm just gonna... The worst angle you've ever seen in your life. You just like, I don't want to push it on. That feels wrong. But like... What the frick? Oh yeah, by the way, oh yeah, cursor mode. It feels alright. As like a mouse. That feels okay. Right one, this is like the actual mouse. Okay, doesn't feel too bad. Doesn't feel too bad. Face buttons. While doing it. That's not the worst thing ever. I need to see how it functions. So, okay, can you get on? I should do this. Get in there. Bro, fam. What the frick? That's lined up. How do you, I need to actually read the instruction manual. The premium. Okay, screw this shit. I'm just gonna throw it on off camera. You'll still be able to hear it though. Oh wow, that two hands, that goes on easy. Who could have guessed? Hold on, listen. Again, even these straps are much higher build quality. Everything is. So holding the Joy-Cons with the straps right now. I guess I can show. It feels pretty good. Like that. That does feel pretty good. Mouse mode. Oh yeah, mouse mode feels better like that too. There's a bit of like padding. Even though it's like plastic here, it's not like actual padding. I think. No, that's just plastic. Hold on, let me try this on the desk. So you'd be like that. Okay, I actually really do not like the feel of that at all. I'm gonna be like real with you here. I do not like how that feels in the slightest. Although if you scratch the wrist strap, no one really cares. Like you're scratching this part, like who cares about this part, dude? Anyway, size comparison time. Okay, so two things. One, I just realized I was recording the entire last section vertically. Sorry, not going back and redoing it. You're getting live reactions. Second, the Switch one already feels a lot smaller when holding. Look at this. Look at this. Put it over top. Look at that. Look, what is this? What is this, bro? What the frick? What? Hello? What? This already feels like Weenie Hut Jr. compared to this. Oh my god, just feel that. Feel how much better. Like you have to like, oh my, this feels so cheap in comparison to this. Wow. Just push the power button, guys. Oh, is the volume all the way up? Oh, that's a bit loud. Okay, turn down a little bit. Alright. They don't have English Canada, but they have French Canada. Oh wait, English UK Australia. Okay, cool. Actually, UK English would be the Americas. Click the accept box. Oh no, you have to accept it. You can't sue us. Don't sue us. Imagine you don't want to accept it. Well, time to bring it back. Internet settings. Okay, I'll get all this hooked up. Okay, I put in my like Wi-Fi password and everything right now. I just want to, yet again, I'm just gushing and all over this. Like, you could not put the kickstand down and have it be this sturdy on the Switch. Like, you hold the Switch one, everything feels like it'll spontaneously collapse. at any moment. This thing detaches and disconnects all the time. It's like rickety, it's so rickety. But then you play with this and everything is just like freaking great. Like you could not do this with this kickstand. Look, here's what happens when you try to put this kickstand. I know the OLED came out with a better kickstand, but I don't have that. Look, look at that. That's what happens right there. Boom. This is just incredible, guys. Also, there's this nice chill beat to study / set up your Switch to. System update has been downloaded. A lot of noise is outside, but like, come on, turn on. It's resetting. Please do it soon. Apparently, there's like a cool thing that plays. Update complete. Cool. I got the update that everyone was making like a huge fuss over. People were like, oh, you have to have a Wi-Fi connection to play it. It's like literally everyone has a Wi-Fi connection. No one's buying a Switch 2 who doesn't have one. And even if you don't have one, it's a portable system. Odds are like the store you bought it from has a Wi-Fi connection. And if not, there's one like very close by. So it's like, that's a complete non-issue. System transfer, okay. I'm gonna have to think about this because I'm pretty sure it's like if you do it here right now, you keep all the data on the Switch 1. Whereas if you say do it later, you don't. I can put about system transfers. Transfer allows you to select. Okay, so you can keep playing. Even if you are select begins and run this fast transfer. For all data. News. I know that this is really a small nitpick, but I don't like how news articles don't transfer over because I have some bookmarks of old news articles that are going to be like lost media now, but that's a really small issue compared in the grand scheme of things. Like all of this transfers over, that's the main thing. Okay, next. Oh, the website. Frick. If you haven't got it into the Switch console, alright. I'm gonna look into this. So I have to plug in the AC adapter so that the Nintendo Switch 2 like doesn't lose any power while system transferring. And look at the difference between this brick right here and this one. Oh my god, it's night and day, dude. Like, look at this thing taking up like 2 different outlet spots. This takes up like the whole outlet. This one only takes 1. Look at that. You have to do like that. Look at this. Alright, the system transfer is ready to go. Well, the system data transfer is happening. I might as well unbox Mario Kart World. Alright, it's been unboxed. Well, you didn't think I was going to do that on camera, did you? Anyway, here's the box art. Here's the back. Alright. Oh, I'm scared. Oh yeah, I can show off. The spine of the game has like the artwork and it like goes around to the spine, which is really cool. And then to there. That's neat. Alright. And we're seeing red, ladies and gentlemen. Why would they do this? What purpose is there of like throwing this red filter over your artwork? Like, you're not gonna see the artwork, everything. It's like virtual boy ass artwork. Anyway, everything's red now. Here's the cartridge. Literally exact same thing. It's just that now it happens to be red. This is actually really good video footage. I'm surprised that this is capturing footage this good. But that's that. Yeah. Okay, it finished system transferring and now it's gonna start up. Apparently there's like a startup jingle thing. Oh, I guess there's another minute left and they just, oh, cool. Alright, thanks Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, I have infinite storage on my phone, don't worry about it. Yeah, make this the literal longest minute of all time. Okay, come on, Nintendo. And of course now is when there's all this outside noise happening. Bro, come on, man. We're gonna start using this console. Bro. Alright. The music. Next. Alright. Screenshots. Will be important. Oh yeah. Next. Cool. Oh yeah, I can just use my normal micro SD. It doesn't need to be the Express. Alright, this time for real, guys. Let's do it. I put the SD card in. I forgot how arduous of a process it was to get a micro SD card out of your Switch. Alright, we used cool. Start. Oh, frick it. Okay,
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the sound effects are already growing on me. Okay, I will say though, I'm still not really a big fan of like the new rounded edges on everything. I'm gonna be real. Hold on a sec, I need to see something. Wait a minute. View more. View more. Where is it? There it is. Oh, my beloved. My beloved Ace Attorney Investigations collection. Oh yeah. Penny's Big Breakaway needs to get an update to make it playable. I'm not gonna go over every game. Persona 5 Royal could use an update. Really, I just want Mario Kart 8 Deluxe performance updates. Imagine Smash Bros. Ultimate at 120 fucking FPS. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 120 FPS. Alright, so initially the first thing I was gonna do upon booting up my Switch 2 was I was gonna play the update for Mario Odyssey because it got a free update, but apparently Mario Wonder also got a free update. They didn't announce that it would, so I think that's gonna be the first thing I do. Ooh. So another thing about the Switch 2 is the game chat. Here's a game chat test. So my voice is coming through clearly right now, and I'm right here, and here's me moving backwards across the room, and it's hard to make out from over here, but my voice and audio still is coming through clearly, although it is still a little bit muffled. Apparently the audio quality isn't the best, but the fact that I can even hear you from this far away, like, that's insane. Okay, so it has been about a week since I first got the Switch 2. It's been out about a week, and I'm just gonna yap a quick bit about my thoughts on the console so far as we stand. So, yeah. I just want to start off by saying I think this is an extremely impressive piece of hardware. It just feels so nice. The build quality on it is really good. Like, I think if you hold it for the first time, you'll just immediately notice, like, oh, this just feels nice to hold in the hands. Everything is built tough. In handheld mode, you don't need to worry about the Joy-Cons wobbling off, which was a huge issue on the Switch 1. Like, the Joy-Cons would move a little bit off the rail, and that would just completely disconnect the controllers. That happens all the time. Genuinely, holding the Switch 1 in handheld mode after holding the Switch 2, it's really hard to go back. It's like, how did I ever use this? You know? Like, you just naturally, you put your hands all the way around it. Like, holding the old Joy-Cons after using the new Joy-Cons is just like, whoa, these things are really tiny compared to before, or compared to now. And yeah, everything is just built tough. I've seen a lot of like durability tests, and yeah, the system's actually built with Nintendium now. I remember the Switch 1, the build quality wasn't the best, and you can absolutely tell it was because Nintendo just needed to get a console out while the Wii U was flopping. They're like, alright, we need to get this thing out the door, and they didn't have time to work out a lot of the kinks. So Switch 2 is pretty much how the Switch would have been if they had more time to polish everything. So many little kinks have just been ironed out, and you need to understand, the Switch I have, I didn't get the OLED, I don't even have the battery upgraded Switch, I literally have the base launch model Switch. The March 3rd, 2017 Nintendo Switch is what I have, and yeah, this is definitely improvement from that. I know there are some improvements with the OLED, like the kickstand's a good example. Kickstand on the Switch 1 genuinely should be illegal. The Switch 1 kickstand is so terrible and flimsy. Like, it can barely stand up on anything unless it's like an extremely flat surface. It needs to be like a tabletop. You can't use it on like a bed. You can't use it, like, even on carpet. I feel like it's really hard to use. And then the Switch OLED came along, and the Switch OLED had a better kickstand, except I think it was a little bit too heavy duty. I'm pretty sure it's like straight metal, and it takes up the entire back of the Switch, so when playing in handheld mode, it's a little intrusive being there. The Switch 2 kickstand, I'd say, is even better than the OLED. This is a perfect kickstand. You can adjust it freely, so you can bend it like all the way back or like a little bit. You can set the degree angle that you have it at, which is so good. I could actually use the kickstand on my bed, which is not at all something you could do on the Switch 1. And yeah, even the OLED probably would have struggled with that, but this kickstand's amazing. Also, another thing, is since it has like this little like loop design, it means that you can put the kickstand all the way out and use it as like a hanger, you know? You could hang it somewhere. Like I see people say like you could hang it on the back of the front car seat during car rides, like when you're in the back seat, which is great. That's just really cool that you can do that. If you have like a hanger somewhere, or like get 2 nails, you can just hang the kickstand up on it and like mount it to your wall. Really cool kickstand, really good. Another thing, and this is something I'm surprised wasn't added to the OLED, it's the fact that there's 2 USB-C slots now. That is incredible. Switch 1 only had 1, and the way it was designed was so weird because you have the USB-C port on the bottom, right? And that's because, well, you need to put the Switch into the dock, and that's how it charges and displays to the TV through the bottom. Which makes sense, but the problem with that is because you plug the USB-C charger into the bottom, that means that when you're playing in tabletop mode, you can't charge it while playing in tabletop mode because, well, you can't put the Switch on the kickstand on the table with the cord sticking out of the bottom. So I was like, before I said the solution is to just have another USB-C port on the top, and they finally did it, and it's so nice. So nice, even when just charging in handheld mode. Just having the wire stick up through the top like it does on every other Nintendo Portable instead of sticking through the bottom, which was always awkward, is just, it's so good to have that. Really cool that they added that in. Just other little things like that. The magnet attaching mechanism is a lot better than the rails because the rails were entirely a mechanism. And the thing about mechanisms is that they wear out over time, right? The Switch 2 is magnetic and they have really strong magnets. And the thing is, yes, magnets also do wear down over time. However, it takes a lot longer of time, you know? With the Switch 1, the rail mechanism would wear down within like a few years, whereas with the Switch 2, the magnets aren't going to wear down for like a couple hundred years. You know? Like, if you buy a Switch 2, by the end of your lifespan, no matter how young you are, you'll still be able to use the magnet rail system. Or not the rail system, the magnet system. It'll still work perfectly fine in 50 years, in 100 years. It'll absolutely work. No question about it. And I see a lot of people before the Switch 2 came out, they were concerned like, well, if the console dies in handheld mode, does that mean the Joy-Con 2s will disconnect? Because people thought it was an electromagnet, meaning that the system has to be on for the magnet to work. It's not. It isn't. When the system dies, the magnets are still attached, and that's because it's not an electromagnet. The way that the button on the back works to detach the Joy-Con, it isn't that it deactivates the magnets. It just like pushes in a little plastic piece that pushes the Joy-Con away from the console, and that's the only like a mechanism part to the whole thing, and I don't see that like wearing down at all. That's pretty like built pretty tough. But yeah, overall in general, I just like the Joy-Cons on this thing a lot more. Joy-Con 2s are way better than the Joy-Con 1s, and I already like the Joy-Con 1s. I know I'm in the minority here. A lot of people did not like the Joy-Cons at all, and like aside from the drift and the fact that holding it sideways wasn't comfortable in the slightest, the SR, SL buttons were really crappy, and they're a lot better here too. But biggest issue that people had was the Joy-Con drift. But other than that, I think the controllers, I did find them to be pretty comfortable using. I like my preferred method to play games on the TV is to just use the Joy-Cons detached. It's like the Wii Remote and Nunchuck if there wasn't the jump rope wire between them. So that's my thoughts on that, but the Joy-Con 2s are just better. They're more comfortable to hold. I like the sticks more now, which I didn't at first because the Switch 1, the Joy-Con like analog sticks, they have barely any travel, and I like that. I like that you just barely push the stick any direction and it just instantly moves there. Whereas the Switch 2 feel a lot more, the analog sticks feel a lot more like just normal modern controllers. Which I was a little bit like put off by at first, but I've gotten used to it and I do quite like the sticks. They're a bit bigger, and also I don't think there have been any reports of drift yet. They probably will start to drift eventually, but with the Switch 1, I'm pretty sure like 3 days in, people were having Joy-Con drift already, like if that. Whereas here, they're not drifting yet, which is a really good sign because that means either the drift has been solved entirely, or at the very least it won't be a problem until later and it'll be a rare issue. I think if it was going to be a big issue, we would have seen numerous reports of it happening by now. But we haven't, which makes me excited, even though they're not Hall Effect sticks. And also, I never encountered drift myself on my Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons I use didn't drift, but I know a lot of people had this issue. I don't want to be like, well, I didn't have the issue, so that means no one had the issue, because that's just really flawed logic and not true in the slightest. It was so big of an issue that class action lawsuits were filed against Nintendo for it, and they had to like offer free Joy-Con replacements for analog sticks because of Joy-Con drift in certain countries. So, yeah. But yeah, I like the Joy-Con 2s quite a bit. The buttons all feel better. One thing I will say though is that clicking in the sticks, while they do feel better to push in than the Switch 1, I don't know why they're so loud. Those are by far the loudest buttons on the entire console, pushing the sticks in. It's so loud. I don't know why they couldn't make it any quieter to push the sticks in. But yeah, everything feels better. L and R buttons feel better. I remember on the Switch 1, L and R buttons were so like unstable. They felt like they would pop off at any second. They feel a lot better now. Using the mouse mode is surprisingly good and intuitive. It just instantly works. You put the Joy-Con 2 on your desk, bam, mouse mode. Not a lot of games use it right now. Fortnite does, and that's probably like the best way to test it out, because that's like a free game. I've tested them out in Deltarune. There's some Switch 2 exclusive mouse stuff, and I did that, and it works pretty well, the Switch 2 mouse. It even works on like your bed and whatever. I think the way that the cursor works is a bit different from mice, because like an actual computer mouse, it has like a laser on the bottom. I think what the Switch 2 has is it has a little like camera on the thing that like detects motion or movement, something like that. But it's a different mechanism to how the computer mouse would work. But yeah, that works really well. Every button just feels better to press. The start and select buttons feel better. The build quality, I just cannot emphasize enough how much better built this console is than the Switch 1. I remember Switch 1 was having like issues with bending. Because of the heat, the system would bend a bit, and that happened to my Switch. And yeah, that was definitely an issue, because the sheer heat would cause the system to bend just a bit. And I don't see that happening with the Switch 2 in the slightest. Another thing to talk about in terms of the build quality is the new dock. Again, the dock was one of the major sticking points in terms of build quality on the Switch 1. The dock on the Switch 1 was made with like the cheapest possible plastic. It was literally like they built it as cheaply as they possibly could have while getting away with it, right? That dock was so just bad. It was really bad. There's so many issues with it. First of all, it just feels cheap to use. Second of all, the fact that putting your Switch into the dock would scratch the screen and like scratch the back of the Switch. I remember every time I put the Switch 1 into the dock, I would have to like tilt it back so it scratches the back of the Switch instead of the screen. And that's so stupid that you have to like choose which side of your Switch to scratch. There was barely anything in there. There's like a little tiny bit of felt in there to stop it from scratching, which didn't really work. Whereas with the Switch 2 dock, actually the Switch OLED improved the dock a little bit. But the Switch 2 dock is way better. It's way better. First of all, it has a built-in fan now, so that it's easier for the Switch 2 to upscale in 4K on TV mode. But on top of that, it's just built better, it feels better, it looks better, and I don't think it scratches the screen anywhere near as much. It has like a nice chunk of rubber in there so that your screen doesn't get scratched. I feel a lot more comfortable putting the Switch 2 into this dock than I did with the old dock, and that's really good. One thing I will say though, oh yeah, hold on, another thing is that this actually has a built-in LAN adapter. You can put the LAN adapter into the dock itself now instead of having to get the freaking adapter thing for it, or whatever. Or no, you can put LAN into it without having to get the LAN adapter, that's it. But one thing I will say about the Switch 2 dock that I don't like, the only thing I think is worse than the Switch 1 in terms of the dock, is the fact that the little thing you have to pull the back part off, on the Switch 1 there would be a little flap you'd flap it back and you'd flap it on, and that was pretty good. That was a pretty good system. There wasn't much wrong with it. On the Switch 2, there's just a little plastic piece that you remove entirely, like a back casing that you take off entirely. I don't like that at all. It is really hard to put back on, especially in the dark, right? When it's nighttime and you're trying to put your Switch back in there, put the plug, everything back in, you know, and you're trying to put that back piece back on there, it's really tough to do. And it's a lot worse, I would say, than the Switch 1, which just had a little flap you could just pull back and then put back on. Like, what was wrong with that system? You couldn't just have a flap this time? But other than that, this is just an objective improvement in terms of dock quality. Then we can talk about the tech specs itself. I really like that the system can output 4K on TV, and also it runs in 1080p with HDR and handheld, which means that the Switch 2 officially actually looks better in handheld mode than it does on my TV, that's the point we've reached with the Nintendo Switch. The Switch 1 in handheld mode, it would go up to like 720 max, and it was like, yeah, I would just rather play that on the TV. There was no benefit to playing in handheld mode on that, whereas now my TV doesn't have HDR functionality, which means that the Switch 2 in handheld mode looks better than my TV. Doesn't look better than the living room TV though, which does have 4K and HDR support. But yeah, this is pretty future-proofed, I'd say. Switch 2 games, from what I can tell, have been pretty well optimized for it. Cyberpunk 2077 apparently runs pretty well on Switch 2. I'm pretty sure the performance mode is like 40 frames per second. I've just seen footage of it though. I haven't played it myself, but from what I've seen, it looks like it runs pretty smoothly and it looks really good. And yeah, it's really nice having games that actually function now. I think Nintendo, they need to uncap a lot of the frame rates for Switch 1 games and updates, right? I feel like a lot of the Switch 1 first-party lineup, the games were capped at 30 FPS to stop like slowdown and stuttering or whatever, and frame drops. And those need to be uncapped now that the Switch 2 can just handle it with brute force power. There have been a lot of like there's been some Switch 2 edition stuff and some free updates for Switch 1 games to get like performance upgrades. I think we need to get every single Switch 1 game to have updates, right? Just uncap the frame rates, get them all to like 120 FPS, get them all to 1080p in handheld mode, get them all running at 4K 60 on TV. That's all we really need. And I'm just thinking like Smash Ultimate in 120, you know? I need like Tropical Freeze, 1080p on like handheld with HDR. A lot of games just run better with like the sheer brute force power of the Switch 2. Minecraft comes to mind. Minecraft on Switch 1, it ran really well at first, but the game got so like updated by like, and it was every update, none of them were like optimized for the Switch, right? So Minecraft, when it first came out, it was entirely optimized for the Switch, but then more updates came out that weren't optimized for the Switch, and with each update the game ran a little bit worse. I'd still say it runs pretty well on the Switch, but nowhere near as good as it used to. But now on the Switch 2, just with like the sheer brute force power of the Switch 2, Minecraft runs a lot better. I've tested it and I can confirm, yes, it runs really good. Places in the realm I'm in, which would like stutter before, now run like really smooth, and I really like how it performs. I think any game you can think of on the Switch 1 that ran at like a really unstable 60, like where it was capped at 60 but barely ever hit it, will now run extremely smooth on the Switch 2. Something like Penny's Big Breakaway comes to mind. That game, when it came to Switch, it got updated with a performance mode, which made it run at 60 frames. However, that performance mode would constantly slow down and stutter. There'd be frame drops all the time. Playing it on Switch 2, it runs like a dream. It's great. There are a lot of examples of games I'd want to see get performance upgrades in Switch 2 editions. Thousand Year Door is a good example. I remember that game was capped at 30 because of the visuals and they wanted it to run like smoothly. And people really did not like that because Thousand Year Door on GameCube ran at 60. So it's like it ran at 30 frames less, which I was okay with because the game visually looked stunning. I'd still say it's one of the best looking Nintendo Switch games, like first party titles. But now you could easily run that at 4K 60 FPS. So Nintendo, you gotta do it. And they're clearly, like, I don't think it's gonna be, they're gonna be drip fed like that long, because just recently, like literally like yesterday, I'm pretty sure, as I'm recording this, Splatoon 3 got a Switch 2 upgrade, and it's completely free. It's just performance updates and whatnot. And yeah, the game looks so much better now, and it already looked really good on the Switch 1. But yeah, we need to just get all the first party titles on Switch to get Switch 2 performance enhancements, right? All of them. Obviously, some games need Switch 2 mouse support. Mario Maker 2 desperately needs that Switch 2 edition. Alright, you could add in Mario Wonder theming, you could add in mouse controls, and then just make it perform better, and bam, done, there you go. Also, I want more third parties to start throwing their hat in the ring when it comes to Switch 2 versions. I'm looking at you, Atlas. Persona 5 Royal, 1080p handheld mode with HDR? Come on. 4K 60 on TV? Come on, Atlas. Make it happen. Capcom, Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney games would go so hard with mouse support. It would go really hard with mouse support. Think about it. Phoenix Wright Trilogy, when looking through crime scenes, you get to use the mouse for the cursor. That would work pretty well. I don't know. I think you should try doing this. Also, some of the games are capped at 30 FPS on the Switch. Looking at Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and also the Apollo Trilogy, which very stupidly capped everything at 30 FPS because of the fact that Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice ran at 30, so they capped Apollo Justice at 30 instead of, you know, raising everything to 60. But hey, on Switch 2, you can do it, Capcom. Come on, what are you waiting for? Investigations Collection had a lot of technical issues on the Switch, and it still does on Switch 2, just not as prevalent. It's definitely something up with the game itself. Like, the Switch absolutely could have handled it. They just did a really bad job optimizing it all. So I think that's about it with my thoughts on the console itself. To recap, build quality is excellent. I love how well it performs. Everything just feels so much better than the Switch 1. This is just an objective upgrade. I guess the only thing to talk about now are the games and the pricing. I might as well get into pricing. I know that the pricing is a huge issue with a lot of people, and that's fair. I think my stance on it was made really clear originally. I think it's worth the $450 USD you're paying for the console itself. It is pretty expensive for a Nintendo console especially, but you are getting what you're paying for with this console, right? The tech inside, especially with the screen and everything, it is a really well-built piece of hardware. You're getting $450 worth of console. And it's still the cheapest out of all the current gen offerings because of Xbox raising the price on all their stuff. So I mean, hey, Nintendo's still the budget option. But I think the bigger issue that people are having in general is the price of the games. Mario Kart World in particular, it is $80 US, and I can tell you as someone who has played the game for like 50 hours by this point, it's not worth the $80. Alright, it just isn't. No game is, but especially not Mario Kart World, especially since it has, in some regards, it has less content than 8 Deluxe, which cost $20 less. Like, the game doesn't have 200cc. It doesn't have, like, 8 Deluxe launched with 48 tracks. Mario Kart World launched with 30. That is 2 less than base Mario Kart 8 in 2014, like over 10 years ago. That's obscene, right? And free roam, while I do really like the free roam, it's not enough to make up for the lack of courses. Overall, the game really just needs more content. And if it comes in free updates, alright. But the second you make us start having to pay for DLC for an $80 game, that's when we riot, alright? If you're gonna make us pay for DLC, $5 at most, because that's how much, that'd put it on par with how much 8 Deluxe costs with the DLC, because 8 Deluxe is $60, and then the DLC was like $25, so altogether that'd be like $85. So if the DLC for World all costed like $5, then there would be equal pricing for the game plus the DLC, which that would be a little bit more reasonable. But that would also mean that World would have to have 96 courses in it, which it doesn't have anywhere near. Alright, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe I'd still say is the better game, and that game costs $20 less. That's it. But World is still, I'm still loving it. It's still a phenomenal game, but there are a lot of phenomenal games that came out on the Switch 1, some of which are better than Mario Kart World, that launched at $60. Alright, you can get so many games for like $80. Like, I'm thinking about how many like masterpiece games launched at like $20. Sonic Mania, that's a $20 game, that's a masterpiece, plus Cuphead was like $20. You can put those together. Hollow Knight, really good game, that was like $15. You could get all three of those games that will like run you a lot of hours for less than Mario Kart World, right? You can get so many games for less. Like literally every one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, you could buy any of those for less money than Mario Kart World. And that just like, it does not justify the $80. If you get it in the bundle, you only get a digital copy of the game. You don't get it physically, but you get it for $50. The game's definitely worth the $50. I'll give it that. It's 100% worth the $50. It's not worth the $80. It might have been worth $70 though. Like if it were priced at $70, I don't think it would be that big of an issue. I think you could probably get away for selling this at $70. $80 is just too high. That makes it the most expensive modern game. All of a sudden, all these other companies are raising the price of their games to $80. I know like Outer Worlds 2 is now going to be $80, and it's like, this is a really bad precedent to set. And it really, really sucks because every time that we on the internet talk about Mario Kart World, it is impossible to separate the game itself and the content of the game from the price tag. And that really sucks when the developers of the game weren't even responsible for pricing, right? Like all of the people that made Mario Kart World, as fun as it is, as like gorgeous as it is genuinely probably like the best looking Nintendo game I've ever seen. Looks so good. But like all those people that made Mario Kart World what it is, they're getting dragged into this whole pricing fiasco because higher ups in Nintendo thought, yeah, we could charge an extra $10 for this. Why not? It just, it really sucks, man. It really sucks. It's going to be impossible to talk about your thoughts on this game without people being like, well, is it worth the $80 though? Is it worth the $80? If it launched at 60 or 70, this wouldn't be a conversation. People would just be able to talk about the game. And when I end up making my inevitable avert radar on the game, I already know for a fact I'm going to have to talk about the price tag in the video. So get ready for that. But yeah, Donkey Kong Bonanza is coming out in a month. Overall, I'd say what really sucks is the fact that Mario Kart World is like a perfect launch title, right? Genuinely perfect launch title. You could not do a better Nintendo launch title than Mario Kart World. It has a little something for everyone. If you're like a multiplayer, you're a casual gamer, you want something to play with friends or family, bam, Mario Kart World, perfect party game. Get a bunch of people together, have a blast. Everyone can play it no matter what your skill level is. It's just great. If you're like a single player, like hardcore gamer, free roam mode exists. That's pretty good single player content there. There's enough for you too. Knockout Tour is pretty good for like pro gamers. It's like you have battle mode as well. You have like online stuff. The game looks really impressive. It's a good like tech demo to show off the technology of the Switch 2. It's a perfect launch title. I don't know what to tell you. That's such a good game to launch with, especially since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the best selling game on the Switch 1, and the Switch 2 is already selling like hotcakes. Pretty sure there are like 3.5 million units sold in the first weekend, which makes it the fastest selling game console launch of all time. So like, yeah. It's going to be a success no matter what the pricing is, but perfect launch title. And really, you're only waiting like, what, a month for Donkey Kong Bonanza to come out? And Mario Kart World will absolutely last you a month. There's enough content in the game so where you won't get bored of it in the first month. And yeah, it's just really good. There were a bunch of other controversies the Switch 2 underwent. Like every day it felt like we were learning some new stuff that happened, but I feel like most people, like most YouTubers especially, like rage bait YouTubers, would take any like piece of news that came out about the Switch 2 and just present it in the most bad faith way imaginable. A good like example of this is the fact that the Switch 2, it requires a day one patch in order to run. I'm pretty sure it's like in order to use the old Switch games or backwards compatibility or whatever, you had to get a day one upgrade. It's a free like patch or whatever, but a lot of people were saying, why can't you play this out of the box? You know, not everyone has internet, and if you don't have internet, you just can't play your system that you bought. What is this? I think this is such a huge non-issue, right? Such a non-issue. Literally everyone has internet, and if you don't have internet, odds are you're not going to have the money to buy a Switch 2 anyway. And if somehow you have the money to buy the Switch 2, but not the money to buy like internet, and you don't have internet, like odds are you could just go somewhere with it that has internet, right? It's a portable system. Just take it to your public library, take it to your local McDonald's, use their free Wi-Fi. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, odds are this, like the place you bought the console at has a free Wi-Fi connection either there or like somewhere nearby. This is such a non-issue, and I guarantee you it wouldn't be presented as such a big issue if there weren't all these other issues as well, right? They kind of just add up. Death by a million cuts. Something like Nintendo saying that they could remotely brick your console if you try hacking it or modding it or piracy or whatever. And people like, oh no, Nintendo can just do that. And it's like, the words that they used in the terms and conditions, you can find that on Sony's terms and conditions too, right? No one got mad at it then, but since it's Nintendo doing it right now and they are in a lot of hot water, people are going to take it and be like, oh, this is the worst thing of all time. You mod the console, it'll instantly brick. Which, to be fair, modding your console isn't illegal by itself. But, you know, I don't think this is the biggest issue in the world. Nintendo updated their EULA so that you can't sue them, which this is kind of scummy, I'll give them that. Alright, if you didn't want to be, it's pretty much like in the EULA, the end user license agreement, there was a little provision in there that you cannot sue Nintendo in a class action. And if you wanted to be like removed from that provision, you would have to like physically mail a letter to Nintendo saying that you didn't want to be part of it in like 30 days. So the time limit on that's almost like pretty much expired by this point. But like that's so stupid. That's so dumb. That's a bad thing, legitimately. But yeah, just it really hasn't been that good from a PR standpoint. I think Nintendo's PR firm just killed themselves, right? Doug Bowser was over here running his mouth with no PR firm. He was like, if you can't get a Switch 2, we're still going to be stocking Switch 1 and making sure that it's available. And people were like, he's saying what Don Matternick said. If you can't buy a Xbox One, we have a console for that. It's called 360. I don't think what Doug Bowser said was anywhere near as bad. He was like, if I know a lot of people can't afford a Switch 2. If you can't, we're going to make sure that the Switch 1 still gets produced and still has units available. But since there's no like PR firm or anything working with Nintendo right now, it kind of just, it sounded really bad, especially after like charging $80. I remember like even like other CEOs, like Randy Pitchford from Gearbox, the USB drive man himself, he was like, well, he was asked about $80 Borderlands. He's like, well, I'm not in charge of that, but if it did, real fans would find a way to make it happen. It's like, come on, man. Like the old Sony CEO was like, yeah, I think $80 games are cool. You're getting a steal of a deal. But yeah, it really does suck. But although I will say, I think I've gotten to a point, like originally there's enough valid criticism against the Switch 2, and I don't want to undermine that. But it's gotten to the point where all these rage bait YouTubers who just make non-stop daily like negative Nintendo videos have gotten so annoying to the point where I'm just like, I kind of don't even care anymore. People being like, if you get a Nintendo Switch 2, you're responsible for the death of the entire gaming industry as we know it. And then those same people on launch day, most of them, they go to their store and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, I'd like to get a Mario Kart World bundle with the Switch 2. Thank you. Like this happens, kept happening. So many of the YouTubers that were like, do not buy a Switch 2 under any circumstances. I'm not going to do it. They just decided to go out and get a Switch 2. And then they had to be like, well, I just got it to test it. You know, I'm not supporting Nintendo. Just admit you wanted to get it because it's a cool console, alright? I'm not judging you. Like, just admit you got a Switch 2 because it's a cool console and you wanted one. But, you know, I digress. overall, like, any guilt that I would have had for buying one is kind of just washed off with how annoying that anti-Nintendo crowd has been. And again, there are a lot of valid things to criticize in regards to the Switch 2, but so much of the hate has just been so overblown to the point where I just kind of don't even care anymore. If you want to boycott Nintendo, go for it. You don't want to buy a Switch 2 because you don't want to support Nintendo, go for it. Best of luck to you, power to you, Godspeed. But I don't even care anymore. But, yeah. Oh, I guess there's one final thing I could say. I forgot to mention, the biggest negative with the Switch 2 so far, for me at least, it's the battery life. The battery life isn't that good on the Switch 2. In fact, I would say it's honestly probably worse than the base Switch 1 battery life. And I don't know for sure because I tested it recently. Basically, I did this thing where I like retrained the battery, whatever. I saw some people saying if you're having battery issues, what you do is basically you turn off the little feature to stop charging at 90, let it charge to 100, play it in handheld mode until it dies in your hand, then charge it back up to 100 and keep doing that, because one of the reasons why the battery isn't good is because these things have been just sitting in a warehouse for months and you want to like retrain your battery. So I did that and I think it improved the battery life a bit. Another thing to do, this is something that everyone watching this video, if you own a Switch 2, you should absolutely do this regardless of if you think your battery life is a problem or not. So there's been an issue on like most Switch 2 units in which the battery is being displayed incorrectly, where it would show you what battery you're at and the percentage that it would show you is actually lower than the battery you have, and because of that you get to play it for like 20 minutes at 1%, right? And the solution to this issue is you want to go into recovery mode on the Switch 2. And literally just like navigating the recovery mode menu will fix this. What you want to do is basically you hold the volume up, or actually no, not yet. What you do is you power your Switch 2 off entirely. So you hold the power button and then go to turn off. And then you boot it up in recovery mode. So how you do that is you have one finger on your volume down button, one finger on your volume up button, push both of the buttons and hold them down while holding the power button. And that'll activate the recovery menu, and then you can just turn off your system and then reboot it. And simply navigating the recovery menu will fix this issue. I didn't think this was an issue for myself, but then I tried it and my battery percentage literally went from like 35% to around 44. That's like a 10% battery difference. So a lot of people might think that their battery life is worse than it actually is because the battery percentage indicator is displaying the wrong number. Just a PSA, every Switch 2 owner, you should absolutely do this. Even if you don't think it's an issue at all, you should still do it and double check. But I did a test. I was playing Mario Kart World in handheld mode. I was playing on like a little bit over half brightness with HDR on in handheld, and I would time how long it would take. So I started playing at like 11 p.m. and when the system died, it was like 1:45-ish, so that would be like 2 hours and 45 minutes of battery life, which actually isn't terrible. So I think the battery life might not be as big of an issue as I first thought it was, but I don't know. That is like, that Mario Kart World is a high-end like game, which would take up more battery life, especially with HDR on and whatever. And 2 hours 45 minutes isn't actually terrible. I'm actually okay with that for the most part. But I still think the battery life could have been a little bit better. It's still better than other contemporaries like PC handhelds. I know the Steam Deck apparently had like only like an hour battery life, which isn't as bad as my Wii U. My Wii U can only handle like 45 minutes of battery life, if that. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on the Switch 2. I would recommend anyone who is like, if you're like a big fan of the Nintendo Switch, and you want to get the new Mario Kart and new games, I think it's worth the console price. If you're like not that big of a fan of the Switch 1, maybe don't get it. I don't know, maybe just wait for a game that you really want to get, then get it. But if your biggest issue with the Switch 1 was like the lack of performance, I think you would probably like the Switch 2, as it has a lot better performance. It runs games a lot better. But I will say, if you've been like planning on getting into Nintendo and you don't have a Nintendo Switch like at all, you don't have a Switch, absolutely 1000% I would recommend getting a Switch 2. 1,000,000%. If you don't have a Nintendo Switch and you've like wanted to get one but you haven't, get the Switch 2. It is worth the little extra money over the Switch 1 to get, like, you're getting pretty much like effectively the entire Switch library, which will all run better on the Switch 2, plus new games. Like 1000%, you'll have a huge back catalog. Get the Switch 2, it is worth it. I am satisfied with my purchase, although Mario Kart World is still overpriced. I'll say that. But yeah, I've been enjoying playing like Switch 1 games, having them run better on the Switch 2. I've been enjoying the Switch 2 upgrades. I've been enjoying a lot of Mario Kart World again. I've been playing that game for like 50 hours. Don't want to give a full review on the game, but I will say like it needs more content. There's a lot of baffling design decisions. How you unlock the characters is so stupid, especially like the enemy characters do Kamek, or like eating the food to get costumes. Just really dumb and unorthodox, and not in a good way. Very bizarre. Bad bizarre. I think some of the courses and like retro track selections are pretty weird and bad, which really sucks when the game has 2 less tracks in it than base Mario Kart 8. You only have 30 tracks, and if you're going to have 30 courses, all of them need to hit. And for the most part, I think the Nitro track selection is really good. But yeah, I've still really been enjoying the game. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been playing it a lot, and I will make an Avert Radar video on it, but I just want to get everything in it. But that might be hard because the game doesn't track 100% completion. It doesn't do it. It shows you how many things you've gotten, but it doesn't show you how many things are in the game. So like there's no thing in the game like for counter in terms of how many stickers are in the game. It shows you how many you have. Actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't show you how many you have or how many are in the game. It shows you how many P-switches you've gotten, but not how many are in the game. Whenever you get a P-switch, it doesn't like mark it on the map. So I think this is like a completionist nightmare, this game. Also, there's just a lack of rewards in general in a lot of places. 3 stars on every cup will get you nothing. Beating all the time trial staff ghosts will give you nothing. It's really dumb, but I still am really enjoying it, and it's really refreshing to play a new Mario Kart after playing Mario Kart 8 for so long. Game chat. I completely forgot to talk about game chat. So I tested out game chat, and I think it works pretty fine for what it is. It is really convenient to just have voice chat in the console itself. One thing I'll say that's pretty like funny is the fact that I've seen so many people when the Switch 1 was out. Like everyone was complaining about the fact that the voice chat wasn't done in the console itself, and the fact you had to like have like a separate app to use voice chat, and it was like, why would you do that? And that was a legitimate criticism, the fact that there was no voice chat built into the Switch. But now that there is voice chat built into the Switch 2, I all of a sudden see all those same people that were complaining about there not being any voice chat on the Switch 1. They're like, who would ever use this on the Switch 2? Like, you could just use Discord. And it's like, you really can't win, can you? But overall, I'd say game chat, the one benefit it does have is the fact that it's just convenient. You know, the fact that there's just a button you can push and instantly invite anyone to your voice chat instead of having to like pull out your phone or your computer or whatever and then log into Discord and then join there. It is, I've found myself using this more than I thought I would. Like, you notice someone else is online, one of your friends, and you can just push the game chat button and instantly like just start a game chat up. It's great. Microphone quality I'd say is pretty good. It's decent. It's probably better than this microphone I'm using right now. So there's that. I can't tell you about the camera because I'm not getting it, but I will say you can plug in any USB-C camera into the Switch, and that's great that Nintendo allows you to do that. They didn't have to allow you to do that, but they did, and that's a pretty like pro-consumer thing. I'll give them props on that. But yeah, one thing I was scared about going into game chat was the fact that the microphone isn't on the Joy-Con 2s, they're on the console itself, which I thought was really dumb because of the fact that like most of the time you're going to be playing on the TV, and most people have their TV pretty far away from where they're sitting. And in the trailer they said, the Nintendo Switch 2 game chat microphone can hear your voice clearly, even from far away, and I was like, there's no way. I did not think that would be the case, but you know what? It actually does. I have to give them props. I remember I tested it. I have the dock like right by the TV, and then across the room is the couch, and I was using voice chat, talking at my normal speaking voice, and it still picked it up. Granted, it was pretty quiet, but still, it worked surprisingly well. I haven't tested the noise reduction or anything, but I've heard from people who have tested it that the blender test does work. If you have a blender in the background and you're over here talking, it'll still pick up your voice and also do noise canceling on everything else. So that is good. Overall, I would say this is actually a pretty good service. However, it's not without its issues. Alright, I have two main issues with the game chat. The first issue I have is the fact that once you've started a game chat up, you can't invite people into the game chat you're currently doing. You have to start a new game chat up in order to invite more people. That is really stupid. Really stupid. The fact that you can't just like invite someone into your already existing, already going game chat. It's like, really? That's such a baffling exclusion. Another thing is that game chat doesn't recognize or doesn't like remember your settings, right? If you do all of your settings or whatever, the next time you start up a game chat, it'll all reset. So for instance, the way I do game chat is I like having the game in full screen, right? I want to have it in full screen while voice chatting. By default, it is not in full screen. It's in like normal screen, and then you can see the icons on the bottom. And I want it to be in full screen. I also want to have the user volume for everyone in the chat to be at full. And you have to set all that. And after your voice chat's done and you end it and you start a new voice chat, the new voice chat doesn't retain any of those settings. So you have to, every time you start a game chat, you have to readjust all the settings to go into full screen and to adjust everyone's audio. That's really stupid. It should do what Discord does and just save all the settings. Every time you voice chat with someone on Discord, it remembers what audio levels you had set for them. And like every time you do the voice chat, you don't have to readjust it, which is great. Switch 2 doesn't do that, and they need to add a free update to this ASAP. But other than that, I'll say game chat is actually a pretty solid service, and I didn't think it would be. I didn't think I would use it as much. I'm glad it's in the system, even though it eats away at the resources. When screen sharing, it like tanks your battery life. But yeah. People are mad that you have to have a Switch Online subscription to use this eventually, and it's like, when are you going to use game chat when you're not playing online, you know? Most of the time you're playing game chat, you're going to be online anyway. So, like, at that point you've already paid for Switch Online. it's another issue I don't understand being as hotly discussed as it is. But yeah, that's my thoughts on game chat. So those were all my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2. I have been yapping for entirely way too long. And yeah, that's about it. This unboxing and video is probably pretty terrible. I don't know if anyone's going to even be watching this. This is entirely way too late. Anyone who wanted to get a Switch 2 probably have by this point. So there's not even a point to making this at all. But whatever. Anyway, in the comments, tell me, did you get a Switch 2? Are you planning on getting a Switch 2? Are you not? If so, why or why not? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments in the comments below. And with that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in whatever you decide to watch next. Have a great rest of your day, week, month, and year. Goodbye, everyone.